The darkness of space lit up with thousands of alien ships as they appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system. Commander Kim Tae-ho pressed his face against the thick glass of the command center window, watching the enemy fleet grow larger. On the screen, ships were massive, each one bigger than anything humans had ever built. They moved in perfect formation, blocking out the stars behind them. "Commander, we have incoming transmission," said Park Min-young from her station. Fingers shook as she worked the controls, but her voice stayed calm. She had been trained for this moment, even though nobody really believed it would happen. Kim Tae-ho walked back to the center of the room where dozens of officers worked at their computers. Red lights flashed everywhere, and the sound of urgent typing filled the air. Everyone knew this was the most important day in human history. The alien message came through every radio, every television, every phone on Earth at the same time. The voice was cold and spoke perfect English, then switched to Korean, then Chinese, then every other language humans used. "The aliens had been watching Earth for a long time. People of Earth," the voice said, "you have 72 hours to surrender. Completely. Turn off all your weapons. Accept all your armies. Accept your place as workers in our empire. This is your only chance to survive." Kim Tae-ho closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He had been expecting this day for 20 years. Ever since the first alien probe had been found crashed in the Pacific Ocean, the government had kept it secret. But some people knew. Some people had been preparing. Suddenly, the main screen changed. It showed the moon, peaceful and quiet with its mining stations and research bases. Then, without warning, one of the stations simply disappeared. Not destroyed by missiles or explosions, but gone, like it had never existed. 3,000 people worked at that station. "My God," whispered someone behind Kim Tae-ho. "They just ... erased it." The alien voice continued its message. "This is what happens to those who resist. You have 72 hours to decide. Choose wisely." Down on Earth, chaos erupted everywhere. In the emergency government meeting in Seoul, Defense Minister Lee Jae-sung tried to maintain order as politicians shouted at each other. Some wanted to surrender immediately, terrified of what the aliens might do. Others wanted to fight, even though human weapons seemed useless against such advanced technology. "We have to think about our children," shouted one minister. "If we surrender, at least some of us will live." "Live as slaves," replied another. "Is that what we want for humanity?" Lee Jae-sung listened to the arguments, but his mind was elsewhere. He was thinking about the secret messages he had received over the past few months. Messages from scientists and military officers who had been working on projects that officially did not exist, far beneath the Korean peninsula, in a facility so secret that only a dozen people knew its location. Dr. Yoon Ha-jin sat at his computer reading encrypted messages. These messages came from similar hidden facilities all over the solar system, on Mars, in the asteroid belt, even in the outer planets. For 20 years, humanity had been preparing for this moment. "Project Prometheus is ready," Dr. Yoon typed into his computer. "All stations report full operational status, awaiting final authorization." Dr. Yoon had spent his entire career studying the alien technology found in crashed probes and ships. Most people thought these crashes were accidents, but Dr. Yoon suspected the aliens had been testing human responses. Each crashed ship had revealed new secrets about alien technology, secrets that human scientists had slowly learned to understand and copy. Back in the command center, Kim Tae-ho received a small, coded message on his private communication device. Only 3 words: "Prometheus is ready." He looked up at the main screen. Where the alien fleet continued to approach Earth, the ships moved slowly, confidently, like predators approaching helpless prey. The aliens had conquered 47 other worlds, according to intercepted communications. They had never faced serious resistance. "Sir," said Park Min-young, "we're receiving calls from governments all over the world. They want to know what we're going to do." Kim Tae-ho stood quietly for a moment, thinking about his wife and daughter at home in Busan. He thought about all the families on Earth, all the children who would grow up as slaves if humanity surrendered. He thought about the 3,000 People who had died on the moon, killed without warning as a demonstration of alien power. "Send a message to all our secret facilities," he said finally. "Tell them the countdown has begun, not their countdown hours." The aliens had given humanity 72 hours to surrender. They expected either immediate capitulation or desperate pleas for mercy. They had studied human history and seen how quickly civilizations collapsed when faced with superior force. But the aliens had missed something important in their studies. They had seen human fear and human weakness, but they had not understood human stubbornness. They had not realized that some humans would choose death over slavery, not just for themselves but for their entire species. The countdown began, but it was not counting down to surrender. It was counting down to the moment when humanity would show the galaxy what desperate people could accomplish when they refused to kneel. The alien commanders waited in their massive ship high above Earth, expecting humans to beg for mercy. Their 72-hour deadline had passed 6 hours ago, and still no message came from the planet below. The different alien species made strange clicking and buzzing sounds as they talked to each other, confused by the silence. "Perhaps they are too frightened to respond," suggested one alien with crystal-like skin. "Most species cannot even speak when they see our power." Another alien, this one tall and thin with multiple arms, shook its head. "No, we have intercepted their communications. They are not paralyzed by fear. They are planning something." Alien Council decided to proceed with the invasion. They had done this 47 times before on other worlds. The pattern was always the same: show overwhelming force, give an ultimatum, then crush any resistance quickly. Most planets surrendered, without a fight. The few that resisted were destroyed within hours. The first wave of alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. Lieutenant Colonel Sung Ji-woo crouched behind a concrete barrier in Seoul, watching the enemy dropships land in the city center. Through his helmet display, he could see everything clearly. The ships were smooth and silver, making no sound as they touched down. "All units, hold your positions until they deploy." Song Ji-woo spoke into his radio. "Wait for my signal." The alien ships opened with a hissing sound, and creatures began to emerge. They were tall, maybe 8 feet high, with bodies that looked like they were made of living crystal. Their skin reflected light in strange patterns, and they moved with fluid grace. Each one carried a weapon that glowed with blue energy. The aliens spread out in perfect formation, just like they had done on dozens of other worlds. They expected to face primitive human weapons, bullets, and explosives that would bounce harmlessly off their advanced armor. They walked forward with confidence, not even bothering to take cover. Song Ji-woo raised his hand, then dropped it. "All units, open fire." Human weapons that fired were not the primitive guns the aliens expected. Beams of intense light cut through the air, creating holes in the alien formation. Some of the energy weapons caused the aliens to simply disappear, their crystal bodies dissolving into nothing. Others created small gravity wells that pulled groups of aliens together. Crushing them, the alien field commander stopped advancing and spoke quickly into his communication device. "Command, we are taking heavy casualties. The humans have weapons that match our technology. How is this possible?" High above the battle, Specialist Choi Soon-hee sat in a hidden bunker, listening to every word the aliens said. Her team had been working for months to break into alien communication systems, using technology reverse-engineered from crashed alien ships. Now they could hear every order, every report, every sign of alien confusion. "They sound scared," she reported to her commanding officer. "This is the first time they've faced real resistance." The battle in Seoul was repeated in cities all over the world. In New York, human soldiers used energy shields to protect themselves from alien weapons, then fired back with matter disruptors that tore through alien armor. In London, gravity mines pulled alien ships out of the sky and crushed them against buildings. In Tokyo, human fighters used weapons that bent space itself, creating tears in reality that swallowed alien soldiers. Dr. Yoon Ha-jin watched the battle reports from his underground laboratory. For 20 years, he had studied every piece of alien technology that crashed on Earth. He had spent sleepless nights figuring out how their weapons worked. how their shields operated, how their ships flew. Now his theoretical work was saving human lives. "Sir, we're receiving requests for more weapons," his assistant reported. "Military units all over the world want to know if we have more of the gravity disruptors." "Tell them we're manufacturing." "As fast as we can," Dr. Yoon replied. "Remind them every alien device they capture needs to be sent to us immediately. We can have new weapons built from their technology within 6 hours." This was something the aliens had never faced before. On other worlds, resistance was brave but futile. The conquered species fought with the same weapons they had always used, and they were quickly overwhelmed. But humans were different. Every time the aliens tried a new tactic, humans adapted within hours. Every alien weapon that was captured was copied and improved in the city of Busan. Captain Lim Dae-yoon led a small group of soldiers through the ruins of what had once been a shopping district. The aliens had destroyed most of the buildings, but the humans had learned to fight in the rubble. They used portable energy shields and weapons that could punch through alien armor. "Captain, we've got 20 aliens moving toward our position," reported one of her soldiers. "Let them come," Lim Dae-yoon said, checking her matter disruptor. "We have something they don't expect." The aliens approached carefully, having learned that humans were more dangerous than they had first thought. But they still believed that superior numbers and technology would win the day. They had never been proven wrong before. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it was over, all 20 aliens were dead, and only 2 humans had been wounded. Aslim. Dae-yoon reported the victory to headquarters. She added a message that would be repeated by human fighters all over the world. "If extinction is inevitable, we'll take our killers with us." The aliens had expected a quick victory. Instead, they found themselves in their first real war in centuries, against an enemy that refused to die quietly. The alien response came like fire from heaven. Massive ships in orbit above Earth opened their weapons and began destroying everything they could see. Seoul disappeared in a flash of white light, leaving only a smoking crater where millions of people had lived. Tokyo was. Next, then New York, then London. The aliens turned entire cities into glass with their plasma weapons. But for every human base they destroyed, more appeared. From underground bunkers, from hidden caves, from mobile platforms that moved constantly, humans kept fighting back. The aliens began to realize that humanity had been preparing for this war much longer than they had thought. Deep beneath the Taebaek Mountains in Korea, Dr. Han So-young worked frantically at her computer. Her laboratory was hidden so well that even the alien sensors could not find it. She had been studying alien communication systems for years, learning how they sent messages instantly across the galaxy using something called quantum entanglement. "I think I've got it," she said to her assistant, who was monitoring the alien transmissions. "Their communication system works both ways. You can trace their messages back to where they came from." Her fingers flew across the keyboard as she worked. The alien communication network was like a spider web stretching across the galaxy, connecting all their worlds and ships. The aliens thought this network was secure, but they had made one mistake. They had used it to communicate with ships near Earth, and now Dr. Han could follow those connections. "God," she whispered as data filled her screen. "I can see everything. Their home worlds, their colonies, their military bases. All 12 species." She immediately sent her findings to the surviving human command centers. The information was incredible. Not just the locations of alien worlds, but details about their populations, their defenses, their resources. For the first time since the war began, humans knew exactly what they were fighting against. The aliens were becoming more and more confused by human resistance. Major Bae Seung-min, working with a team of engineers in a mobile laboratory, had created weapons that should have been impossible. They had learned to use quantum mechanics, the strange laws that govern the smallest particles, as a weapon. "Fire the quantum disruptor," Bae Seung-min ordered as a group of alien soldiers approached their position. The weapon looked like a small box with wires and lights. But when it activated, something impossible happened. The alien soldiers simply began to fade away, their crystal armor becoming transparent, then disappearing completely. The aliens inside the armor flickered in and out of existence, caught between being real and not real. How are they doing this? Screamed one alien commander into his radio. This violates the laws of physics. But humans had learned that the laws of physics were more flexible than anyone had thought. By studying alien technology, they had discovered that reality itself could be changed, manipulated, weaponized. Quantum uncertainty, the idea that particles could exist in multiple states at once, became a tool for making alien weapons and armor randomly stop working. In orbit above Earth, the Alien Council met in emergency session. Representatives from 12 different species argued loudly about what to do. Some looked like crystals, others like insects, others like living metal. Despite their differences, they all shared one thing: growing fear of humanity. "We have lost more soldiers in 3 days than in the last century," reported one commander, whose species looked like walking trees. "These humans are not like the others we have conquered," a crystal being flashed different colors as it spoke. "They are learning from every battle. Every weapon we use, they copy and improve. Every tactic we try, they counter within hours." The insect-like alien clicked its mandibles nervously. "Perhaps we should consider withdrawal. No planet is worth this cost." But the largest alien in the room, a creature that looked like living metal, refused to consider retreat. "We cannot show weakness. If we retreat from one primitive world, every species in the galaxy will think they can resist us. We must destroy every human, no matter the cost." The debate continued for hours, but in the end, fear of appearing weak won. The alien coalition committed to humanity's complete extinction. They would turn Earth into a dead rock, rather than admit defeat. What they did not know was that humans had been preparing for exactly this scenario. Dr. Han So-young's discovery of alien homeworld locations was just the beginning. In secret facilities all over the solar system, human scientists were putting together a plan that would shock the galaxy. "They want to destroy us completely," reported Dr. Han to the surviving human leadership. "But now we know where they live. We know where their families are, where their children are, where their entire civilizations exist." The human response was being prepared in the deepest, most secret laboratories on Earth. If the aliens wanted total war, if they wanted to commit genocide against humanity, then humans would show them what total war really meant. The aliens had made a critical mistake. They had underestimated not just human technology, but human determination. They thought that by threatening extinction they could force surrender. Instead, they had convinced humanity that there was nothing left to lose. The war was about to change completely, and the aliens would soon learn that humans had been preparing for their own extinction and planning to take their enemies with them. The counter on Colonel Kim Tae-ho's computer showed the terrible truth. Earth's population had fallen below 1 billion people. Cities were gone, countries were destroyed, and humanity was dying. But in his deep bunker, beneath what used to be the border between North and South Korea, Kim Tae-ho was not thinking about surrender. His communication device crackled to life with Dr. Yoon Ha-jin's voice. The old scientist sounded tired, but determined. "Colonel, it's time. Project Prometheus is ready for final activation." Kim Tae-ho had known this moment would come. For months, as the war grew worse and worse, human scientists had been working on something so dangerous that even thinking about it made him feel sick. "Are you sure this is our only option, Doctor? We've lost too much already," Dr. Yoon replied. "The aliens will never stop until every human is dead." But Prometheus was never just a weapon, Colonel. It was a doorway to making sure that if we die, we take them with us. All across the solar system, devices that had been hidden for years began to activate. These machines had been built using alien technology that humans had captured and studied, but they were powered by something the aliens could never understand: human desperation and the absolute refusal to give up. On an asteroid between Mars and Jupiter, a device the size of a building began to glow. The asteroid itself started to break apart, its matter being converted into pure energy that flowed through invisible conduits toward Earth. On Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, another device activated. The entire moon began to shrink as its matter was consumed and transformed. The energy from dozens of these devices flowed through space toward Earth, following paths that had been carefully planned by human scientists deep beneath Earth's surface and the planet's core. Massive machines waited to receive this energy and use it for something that had never been attempted before. Major Park Min-young sat in Luna Base, one of the few human installations that still survived. Her job was to monitor the gravitational sensors that measured the forces around Earth and the Moon. What she saw on her instruments made her eyes grow wide with amazement and fear. "This is impossible," she whispered to herself. The gravity readings are off the charts. Around Earth, space itself began to change. Invisible forces pulled at the fabric of reality, creating wells of gravity that grew stronger by the minute. The alien fleet, which had been moving confidently toward Earth to finish destroying the planet, suddenly found themselves in trouble. "Fleet? Commander, we have a problem," reported one alien pilot. "Our engines are fighting against some kind of gravitational field. We're being pulled toward the planet." The alien fleet commander, a crystal being who had conquered dozens of worlds, felt fear for the first time in his long life. Increase power to maximum, break free of whatever the humans have done. But the alien ships, despite their advanced technology, could not escape. The gravity wells around Earth were growing stronger every minute, fed by the energy from the devices throughout the solar system. The massive alien fleet found themselves trapped in a spiral that was pulling them inexorably toward the planet. "Sir," reported Major Park Min-young to the surviving human command, "I'm reading artificial gravity fields that are increasing at an exponential rate. The alien fleet is trapped." The aliens finally began to understand what the humans had done. Earth was not just defending itself, it was becoming something else entirely. The planet was turning into a black hole, a gravity well so powerful that nothing could escape from it, not even light. In their command ship, the alien council met in emergency session. Panic filled the room as representatives from 12 different species realized that they were all going to die. "The humans have turned their entire planet into a weapon," reported one alien scientist. "They're creating an artificial black hole that will consume everything in this solar system." "Can we destroy the planet before it's too late?" asked the fleet commander. "We've tried," replied another alien. "But every weapon we fire at the planet only adds more energy to their system. They're using our own attacks to make their weapon." Stronger, on Earth's surface, Captain Lim Dae-yoon crouched in the ruins of what had once been a beautiful city. Around her, the few remaining human soldiers continued to fight, even though they knew they were all going to die. Above them, the alien fleet was being pulled slowly but steadily toward Earth by forces that grew stronger every minute. She looked up at the sky, where alien ships burned as they were crushed by the increasing gravity. Their weapons fired desperately at Earth, but each explosion only fed more energy into the growing black hole that the planet was becoming. "Chose extinction," she whispered to herself, knowing that her words were being transmitted to the few remaining human outposts, for all of us. The aliens had wanted to destroy humanity completely. They had refused to accept surrender, refused to show mercy, refused to leave even one human alive. Now they were learning what happened when you cornered a species that would rather die than kneel. Earth was becoming a tomb that would hold both humans and aliens together forever. The final battle began as Earth itself started to die. Above the planet, alien ships and the few remaining human vessels fought desperately while the world beneath them cracked apart like a broken egg. Lightning made of pure energy jumped between the pieces of the splitting continents, and the sky burned with colors that had no names. Commander Kim Tae-ho stood in the deepest bunker on Earth, watching numbers on his computer screen climb higher and higher. The gravity readings were beyond anything ever recorded. Around him, the last few hundred humans on the planet worked at their stations, making sure their final plan would succeed. "Sir, the alien fleet is firing everything they have." "At the planet," reported one of his officers, sweat running down his face, despite the cool air in the bunker. "They're trying to destroy the gravity generator in the core." Kim Tae-ho almost smiled. "Let them try. Every shot they fire just gives us more energy to work with." The aliens had finally realized what the humans had done, but it was too late. Every weapon they fired at Earth was absorbed by the growing black hole and converted into more gravitational force. The harder they fought, the stronger the trap became. On the surface, the last human soldiers watched pieces of mountains float into the sky, pulled upward by the impossible gravity. Captain Lim Dayun, her uniform torn and dirty from months of fighting, looked up at the alien ships that were now visibly being stretched and twisted by the gravitational forces. "This is what you get," she said quietly, knowing that alien communication systems would pick up her words. "You wanted to destroy us all. Now we all go together." The alien fleet tried desperately to escape, but their ships were trapped in the spiral of gravity that surrounded Earth. Some ships broke apart under the stress, their metal hulls unable to withstand the forces pulling them in different directions. Others collided with each other as they lost control of their flight paths. Communications Officer Choi Sun-hee, her face lit by the glow of computer screens, suddenly looked up in surprise. "Sir, we're getting messages from the alien fleet. They want to surrender." Kim Tae-ho was quiet for a long moment, watching the readings that showed Earth's continent sliding inexorably toward the center of the growing black hole. "What do they say?" "They're offering to leave the solar system immediately," Choi Sun-hee reported. "They say they'll never bother humanity again. They're begging us to stop the gravity generator." Kim Tae-ho thought about his wife and daughter who had died when Seoul was destroyed. He thought about the billions of humans who had been killed, because the aliens wanted slaves instead of equals. He thought about the mining station on the moon, vaporized without warning to demonstrate alien power. "Too late," he said simply. "They had their chance to leave us alone. They chose genocide." Instead, Dr. Han Soyoung, working at a station near the back of the bunker, prepared to send one final message to the galaxy. Her face was calm despite the chaos around her. She had spent her entire life studying alien technology, and now she was using that knowledge to ensure that humanity's destroyers would share humanity's fate. "This is Dr. Han Soyoung of Earth." She spoke into her microphone, knowing that her words would be transmitted across the galaxy through the alien communication network. "We were given a choice between slavery and extinction.
Ow.
We chose extinction. For all of us," she paused, watching the readings that showed the artificial black hole growing stronger every second. "Let this be a lesson to anyone who thinks humanity will kneel. We would rather die free than live as slaves." The message was transmitted just as the gravity generator reached critical mass. The Earth's core collapsed into a point of infinite density, and the planet began to fall into itself. Now the alien fleet, trapped in the gravitational field, was pulled inexorably toward the same fate. In the final moments, alien ships and human installations alike were stretched and compressed by forces beyond imagination. The proud fleet that had conquered 47 worlds was torn apart by the same gravity that was consuming the world they had tried to conquer. Across the galaxy, alien homeworlds suddenly lost contact with their invasion force. The quantum communication network that had connected them to their ships simply went silent. 12 different species, sitting in their comfortable palaces on distant worlds, realized that their entire military expedition had disappeared. Other alien species, monitoring the events from far away, recorded what had happened in the Sol system. The story spread quickly through the galaxy. A primitive species had chosen mutual destruction rather than surrender. When faced with overwhelming force, the humans had turned their own planet into a weapon that consumed both conqueror and conquered. The black hole that had once been Earth and the alien fleet continued to grow for a few more hours, consuming the moon, then Mars, then the outer planets. Finally, it stabilized, becoming a permanent monument to human defiance that would orbit the sun for billions of years. The galaxy would remember this day. Future alien civilizations would point to the dark sphere where Earth used to be and tell their children what happened when you gave humans a choice between slavery and extinction. They had chosen extinction. They had not chosen to die alone.